the Consumer Guarantees Act has just turned 30. Happy birthday. The act that has Kiwi shoppers' backs. But it turns out that there's a lot of us who don't know anything about it. Joining us on the program today to discuss from Consumer New Zealand, Head of Research and Advocacy, Gemma Rasmussen. Good morning. Welcome, Gemma.
Kia ora. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Gemma, so this is the case, right, that lots of Kiwis don't actually know that we've got this act?
That's correct. So a lot of people are sort of unaware what their rights are when it comes to shopping. And I think that's a fair enough thing because, often people aren't up to date with legislation. That's relatable. But this is one act that can actually really help you out when you're going shopping, particularly if you're having a less than desirable experience with a product or service that you've paid for.
For sure. I actually have used it myself many years ago. The act can't have even been that old then. I feel it was about 25 years ago. I bought this pair of what I thought to be black court shoes, heels, and they were from quite a prestigious shoe shop in Auckland. Back in those days, there was nothing like number one shoes. Everything was expensive. So I bought this pair of shoes and I wore them, and I accidentally sort of knocked them against something, Gemma, and I discovered that they weren't actually black. They were bright pink. They had been,
Oh dear.
yeah, they'd been spray painted, and I remember, I don't know if I rang you guys up or I rang the Citizens Advice Bureau or somebody like that, and they actually told me about the Consumer Guarantees Act, and I was like, oh, that's a good thing. So I went back to the shop, took the shoes. I must say the person behind the counter was a little bit reluctant to take my shoes back, and then I quoted, according to the Consumer Guarantees Act, this is unfit for purpose. Next minute, they took the shoes off me and gave me a refund. But like you say, Gemma, a lot of people don't know that. So tell us exactly what are our rights as consumers when we're buying goods, Gemma?
Sure. So the Consumer Guarantees Act, it really extends to goods and services. So when I'm talking about goods, it could be anything that you purchase from a shop. And with services, say you engage a plumber, a painter, a dentist. And what they really need to be providing as far as goods is it needs to be acceptable quality, fit for purpose, it needs to match how it was advertised, and it needs to be delivered on time. And then with services, they need to be performed with reasonable care and skill, and they're fit for purpose and completed in a reasonable time. So generally, this is just using your good judgment. If you spend money on something and you find that really things aren't up to the quality that you expected, there is this piece of legislation which you can quote from that says, well, I don't actually think this is up to an acceptable standard, and then you are entitled to get a repair, a replacement, or a refund for your money. And it's kind of a nice impartial piece of legislation that sort of can take the heat out of some conflicts because it really is there to protect you. And we would encourage people to cite this. I think what you're talking about with your shoes is quite common. Often we find people go into stores and the salespeople themselves don't really know much about that legislation, but
Sure.
that is their duty, and you can always escalate things to a manager or take things further if you feel that you're not getting the response that you expected.
Yeah. I guess sometimes it must be a little bit trickier when you were mentioning tradespeople, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said not doing things on time. Well, the tradespeople are notorious. God bless them. My son's a tradesperson. For not being able to, they're busy people, so they're sort of juggling all the jobs, and that can be that would be a little bit more stressful because I wasn't in my home, right? I'm out and about, but something sort of taking place in your home, and you're saying to the person, "I'm not happy with that." That can be a little bit more uncomfortable for people, Gemma.
That's right. And I think what this is a really tricky one because a lot of the way in which the legislation is written is it's quite vague. So we're talking about words like reasonable. So if a tradesperson is communicating to you that maybe there is a shortage of a certain product, things like that can happen,
Yeah.
or there's a lot of things on, which you would expect that they should do if things are going to take longer than expected, and you agree to that, that's fine. Also, things can be delayed for reasons that are outside of their control, and
For
that should be
sure.
accepted as well. But if you're looking at say, having a door fixed and you're 3 months down the line, you've paid the money, you're going no further, and things are getting ridiculous, then that is a piece of legislation that's there to protect you. And we would say, if you're able to resolve things with the person that you're dealing with or the business that you're dealing with first, that's always a great way to go. But it's just knowing that if you're feeling really helpless and you've exhausted all avenues, that there is this legislation that's there to protect you and that you do have rights. I think that can be a really helpful thing. And I guess some people might ask, how do I even enforce this law? So there are things like the disputes tribunal where you can take a dispute if things haven't been resolved. Also, if you've put things on your credit card, you can always go to your bank and request a chargeback.
Yes.
Often, it's within a 3-month period, but that can be a really straightforward way to get your money back if you're just not having any luck with the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's great. Now, another thing that people get caught up on, and I know that you guys talk about this, is you could have purchased something, say a blender, and then it has that 12-month guarantee, and in the 13th month something goes a cropper and it doesn't work, and the consumer thinks, oh, it's outside a guarantee, but you'd view that differently, Gemma. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. So one thing we'd say, a lot of hire purchase items. So, for example, if you're buying an Apple computer or things like that, the shop's going to offer you an extended warranty. They're going to say, this has got a warranty of 2 years, and then after that, you can pay for further protection. Generally speaking, about extended warranties, we're saying they're not worth the paper that they're written on, because the Consumer Guarantees Act says that products that you buy need to last for a reasonable period of time. Now, how long is reasonable? There's a lot of variables that go into this. Say you buy a fridge for $900 versus purchasing a fridge for $4,000. I think it would be reasonable to expect one of those fridges to last for longer because of the amount of money that you've spent on it. But I think we all have general expectations around how long some things should last. If you actually Google, it's Consumer NZ, reasonable product time, we actually have a list of products and how long we think they should last. So, for example, we think computers should last for 5 years. A microwave should last for 8 years. A fridge freezer lasts for 8 years. An oven should last for 15 years. So that means if these products break before then, and you go to the store and they say, well, sorry, there was a warranty for 1 year and it's now outside of that period, so you have no rights. That is incorrect. You are covered by the Consumer Guarantees Act for that product to last for a reasonable period of time. And it is up to that shop to either repair, replace, or refund. Now, I had a dishwasher that broke 7 times after I purchased it from Fisher & Paykel. They kept coming out and repairing it. Some of the repairs took up to 3 months, and I said, I want a replacement because this dishwasher is faulty. And they said to me, no, we're going to keep repairing it. This is an objective decision, and we hope that you will understand this. So sometimes, even someone who works at consumer can get pushback from really big companies, and it is worth sticking to your guns and having faith in the law, because they actually don't have a leg to stand on if they're going to try that. And often companies are about trying to protect that bottom dollar. So it's good to assert your rights. And one thing I would say is, if you are having any issues, we do have a consumer hub at Consumer. It's completely free, and it's got templates. It's got guidance on lots of different areas. So if you're feeling a little uncertain, you can always jump on the site and you can get a 101 on what your rights are.
Awesome. Hey, Gemma, so appreciate your input today.
Thanks so much.
The website is consumer.org.nz, consumer.org.nz, Gemma Rasmussen. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to click on like, subscribe, and notifications. See you next time.